Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, it's Alex Bennett, and this is the Ramble. It goes until midnight tonight on the East Coast of the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, out to the other coast of the United States, where they call it the left coast, I guess, is Larry Bubbles Brown. Hello, Larry.
Hello, Alex.
How you doing?
Good, good.
You sound chipper.
Last time we were talking about the Beatles and their concerts, and then I started to think, where were you when John Lennon got shot? Because I always remember.
Well, I was in San Francisco.
Oh, you were out here by then.
I was in San Francisco, and it was a shock to me because I knew John. And it got me so depressed that I'd come out to go to work for KMEL. And I was so depressed by it that I know what it was. I had quit KMEL. I told them I'm homesick. I have to go back to New York. I can't stay here. And then John was killed, and I went back into my boss and I said, "Do you mind if I stay? Because I don't want to go back to New York now. It just represents death to me." And they said, "Okay, you can stay. And by the way, here's a raise."
Wow.
So actually, I profited off of John Lennon's death.
The greatest negotiating ploy in your life.
Yeah. And, they wanted me to stay. They didn't want me to go. So, but I just decided that was my deciding factor to stay in San Francisco was that, he died, he was murdered, and the city didn't represent the same thing it used to represent to me, So that's where I was when John Lennon died. I can't remember what the date was. You probably do.
I think it was a Monday night because it was Monday Night Football. I think Howard Cosell came on and announced it.
Yeah.
It should have been December 8th.
You and your damn memory. God damn it. Yeah. You're amazing.
Well, the funny thing was, I was trying to get into stand-up at the time. I hadn't done it until March of 81, but I'd met a few comics, including, you remember Billy J?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he was, and he told me that the same thing that happened to you. He said all the comics were so depressed about Lennon's death, so it really hit him hard.
Yeah. Well, you know what it was? I'll tell you what it was. It was his death. It was certainly important to all of us. But because of the immense popularity of the Beatles and what they meant to a generation of people, this was a marker of a passing of time where you couldn't go back. Everybody said, "Oh, maybe the Beatles will get back together. Maybe they'll get back together." Well, once John died,
yeah, stops that.
It stopped it right dead in its tracks. So that was why I think we got very depressed over the death of John Lennon. I mean, certainly because he meant a lot to us musically, but also as a road marker in time. He meant a lot to us. And once he was gone, that marker was erased, okay? There was no going back to that road marker. And it was a sad thing, too, because, I liked John. He was a decent guy. And he had a bad year when he went out to California and when he and Yoko split for a while. And now things were all coming back together. This was right after the year that he had spent kind of isolated at the Dakota and producing music and so on and so forth, and getting back together with Yoko and getting to know his child again and all those things. And it was actually a happy time for him. And he hadn't had a lot of happy times in his life. And so for him to be shot at that point was so sad because he was, I think, so happy. So.
And why did Mark David Chapman, right, was that the other guy?
Yeah.
And was he just nuts, or is there any reason why he shot him?
He was nuts.
Just nuts.
Yeah, I mean, come on, you got to be nuts to kill somebody in the first place.
Yeah.
But to single this guy out and to hang around there, you're a stalker. And he was crazy. He was nuts. I think he finally got out of jail, didn't he? Because
I was trying to find that out. I'm not sure if he is or not.
Let me. Mark David Chapman, right?
The guy that shot Reagan, I think, got out.
Yeah, Mark David Chapman. Whoops! Boy, I can't even spell anymore. Mark David, and he's the first thing that comes up after you put in Mark David, and let's see here. Criminal penalty, 20 years to life. Criminal status, incarcerated at Wendy Correctional Facility. So he's still in jail.
Okay.
He's still in prison. Yeah. So here's a picture of him. Yeah, I mean, he obviously was crazy. And I don't know if they should have tried him as a criminal. They should have tried him. They should have just put him in a nut house until he got better. But he really, boy, he has a picture of him now. He looks like you. Anyway, he was just nuts. It was one of those just freakish things, I mean, if John Lennon had shown up back to the Dakota 5 minutes later, history might have been changed, But I mean, I was very grieved by it. I mean, because I knew them, I especially liked Yoko, and so it was a passing of time. I couldn't go back, but it really created a great deal of success for me because I didn't go back. And so I have to appreciate that, So, thank you very much, folks. I'll be here all week.
Yeah, I can't believe that's 40 years ago.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow. 40 years ago. God. I was 41 at the time, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, God. Well, anyway, so...
on that bright note.
yeah. But I stayed in San Francisco, and I was very successful in San Francisco, and it was a marking post in my life, at least, So when you ask me where I was when John Lennon died, first I thought I hadn't quit, and then I suddenly remembered I had quit, and the reason why I stayed was because I didn't want to go back because of Lennon dying.
Gee.
Yeah. I have, in one way or another, had an association with almost every one of the Beatles. Let me put it this way. I interviewed all of them except for Paul. And people say, well, how do you feel about that you didn't manage to collect them all, get Paul? And I just said, I hated Paul. I couldn't stand his music. I mean, you always knew, even though it said Lennon McCartney, one person or the other wrote it. In the very beginning, they wrote together. But then, the greatest Beatles, what I consider the greatest Beatles song of all time, John Lennon wrote, which is In My Life. I just think that's just an absolutely exquisite song. The lyrics are perfect. The sentiment is wonderful. It's not treacle. If Paul had written it, it would have been, I love you. That's what you're in my life, But if you go back and look at those lyrics and listen to that song, what an absolutely perfect song, So, he was my favorite.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And, I mean, George did some nice work, and Ringo, of course, basically, I don't think he ever wrote a song, actually.
he had one song, I think.
Did he write one song? I don't even know if he wrote a song.
I'd Like to Be Under the Sea.
The Octopus's Garden, did he write that?
I think he probably didn't, but I think
did
he got credit.
Ringo Starr, here, see, you can do this. Starr. Well, here, what I'll do is I'll go, Echo, did Ringo Starr ever write a song?
Here's something I found on the web. According to Wikipedia.org, Oh My My is a song by English musician Ringo Starr from his 1973 album Ringo.
Okay, so he wrote Oh My My. You know what I love about we bought these Echoes. I only can say it that way because when I say it, it then says, "What do you want?" You know, I thought when I bought it, Marjorie went, "Oh, come on, what are you, another gadget, another toy?" She and I use this thing constantly now. It is so evolved that it's now, I don't have to go online anymore and say, is so-and-so dead and what day did he die and how old was he when he died. In fact, I asked this one yesterday, Echo, at what age did Adolf Eichmann die?
Adolf Eichmann died at 56 years old on May 31st, 1962 in Tel Aviv,
See,
Israel.
I have no use for you anymore. I have no use for you anymore. Because I just found out it was 56 years. He was 56 years old, and it was March.
When John Lennon died, too. I think it was December 8th, 1980.
Oh. Echo, when did John Lennon die?
John Lennon died on December 8th, 1980 at the age of 40 due to murder by gunshot.
Okay, December 8th, 1980. He was 40 years old.
That was right.
See that? So I don't need you anymore. But the question would be, he died on December 8th, 1980. What day of the week was that? Now, here's where Bubbles is really good.
That, of course, was a Monday.
What do you mean, of course it was a Monday? You didn't even go through any addition, subtraction, none of that. I mean, you could be lying, and I would, but if I spent all the time going back to a calendar of that time, you'd be absolutely right.
Or you can ask Echo.
All right. What was it, December 8th?
Yeah.
1980. Echo, what day of the week was December 8th, 1980? Wait a minute. Echo, what day of the week was December 8th, 1980?
December 8th, 1980 was on a Monday.
It was on a Monday.
Okay.
See, but I don't need you.
Well, I think I was
So anyway, fun with Alexa. Yeah.
Well, it's depressing that 40 years have gone by. Shit, that bums me out.
It bums you out? Think about me as I look as in the immortal words of John Cleese on my show. He said this, and I thought it was one of the best phrases I ever heard. I said, 40 years? Look at me with the grave ever yawning. He said to me, as I grow older with the grave ever yawning, and I went, wow. Perfect.
That's a great phrase.
Yeah. And that's the way I feel. I wake up every morning with the grave ever yawning, I mean, come on, I could die tomorrow. But then again, I could have died in my 70s, and I could have died in my 60s, So here I am, 81, so what am I griping about,
Well, you do have longevity in your family.
Except the fact that as I've gotten older and I'm a little weaker than I was, I would love to do some traveling, but I can't because of this damn virus. So we're stuck here.
What about how's your did you get the vaccine?
Yeah, I got first shot, yeah.
You not the second one, though.
No, the second one is 5.5 weeks from the first one. Because I don't know why they went that long, but the first date I could get it was 5.5 weeks, which pisses me off because everybody's saying to me, well, I'm getting my second shot now. And I'm going, okay,
out
fine.
here they're getting them in 2 weeks.
No, they're getting them in 3 weeks for Pfizer and 4 weeks for Moderna. But they're not getting them out in California. That's the big news. The second shot, people aren't able to get them.
Well, the state can't do anything right. So.
How old are you now?
67.
Well, then you can get the shot.
I can? I think you had to be 70.
No, 65.
Okay.
So go look and sign up and go get the shot.
Although I heard the second shot's the one that makes you feel really bad.
Well, I don't know. I haven't had the second shot yet, so I never know. Hey, listen, we've run out of time here. So that's our time with Larry Bubbles Brown.
C'est Gabnet, la grande broadcast network ricain. Parler radio comme vous n'en avez jamais entendu.
Yeah, that's it. In French, for those of you who don't understand French, it's French. Okay? How are you, everybody? It's the show. It's whatever this thing is. This futile attempt we have at doing podcasting here. I don't know. Is this a podcast? Yeah, I better not try and say that it's anything else. Also, my ears sound so tinny because these things are not plugging up my ears enough. Oh boy! And I've just been dealing with a whole bunch of medical things with our insurance and making sure it's okay. And I don't know. I just drive myself crazy. I should just leave it all up to Marjorie. That's what we do, and she handles all of it. So we'll leave it at that. Let me see here. And I've got sore on my tongue tonight. It's one thing, it's another. I'm giving up all hope of any kind of decent health. Well, let me see here. Let me start admitting all the people that want to come onto this panel tonight. Okay, here they come. Okay, all right. There, see them all popping in there. There's Trucker Steve. He's out on the road. We got Jeffrey. He's up in Connecticut. Charlie Wallace and Dan Meyer. Hello, Dan. How are you?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Fine. What?
I managed to get the first shot today because I'm a teacher, so I got on with that. So,
which one did you get?
The Pfizer.
Mm-hmm.
So back in 3 weeks for the next one. So
see, everybody's up in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I don't get to go in 3 weeks. You know. 4 weeks actually. Mine's Moderna, but it doesn't. It just doesn't. It doesn't. They don't. You know. I give up. You know, it's just I'm very frustrated by this whole process.
What's the difference between the two? I mean, probably technical stuff that I don't even know, but you know.
Well, let's see here. Moderna is more time between shots. Okay, it's 4 weeks instead of 3 weeks. But in my case, it's 4 weeks and also another week and a half because for some reason they wouldn't schedule me earlier. All right. Welcome to New York. Okay. Cuomo keeps telling us how wonderful it is here, and it sucks. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Moderna is, I think, better than Pfizer. Here's why. Moderna is good. It will protect you 50% when you get the initial shot. Okay. At 3 weeks, you get your second shot, if you're lucky. If you don't live in New York, you get your second shot. So that brings you up to 95%. The good thing about the Moderna is that once we get up to about 3 weeks, I have 80% efficacy. All right, and that other shot will take me up to the 95. So you jump up a little faster, a little better, I think, with the Moderna. I think initially where Pfizer is like 50%, I think Moderna is something like 72% efficacy. after 12 days. So those are the current statistics, if you believe any of them. Quite frankly, I think we're going to find we all want the AstraZeneca when it comes out. So, you know.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Well, the scientists know. Hello, everybody.
No, they don't know shit. You know something? I don't think they know shit. I really don't. I think they know they can only hypothesize at this point. They will not know. We are the lab rats in this thing. You know, they didn't do the full testing that they would do. Otherwise, we'd all be dead before they got finished with it. Okay?
That's right.
And so they had to go with something that they didn't have complete information on. And so what are we? We're the lab rats.
You know, if they didn't talk about it and talk about that you think you're more protected than somebody who has the Pfizer vaccine, if they didn't talk about that stuff, what would we talk about for a 30-year show each night?
Oh, well, I don't. I try not to talk about this anymore because it just gets me gravely upset.
I got a new hat in the mail today. It says Israeli Army.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a Star David hat on the side for the Israeli flag.
Mm-hmm.
And camouflage. I kind of like that.
You know my feeling about the Israeli army.
No, I don't.
Fuck them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Especially the women. Oh,
especially with your 10-inch dick.
Well, yeah, Israeli women are hot, but then they get to be 30. You know, I mean, no, I'm just not a big fan of Israel or the Israeli militancy. Okay.
No, that's good. That's good to know. I'll make sure I hang the Israeli flag behind me.
Good. You know, listen, I'm an American. I'm not an Israeli, so I root for this country, and I don't go around.
You can root for them too. You're Jewish, right?
No, I don't consider it I don't consider it the Jewish state. I consider it the Israeli state. I think that to say it's the Jewish state is to say, okay, Alex, you then must agree with us because you're Jewish. And I don't agree with them on their politics. I think they have been very, very terrible to their neighbors, as it were. And I don't want to be stuck with, saddled with the onus of their policies. Okay, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I'm an American Jew, and I will root for America, you know.
Okay.
And what happens to Israel, I don't like a lot of the things they do politically. I think they're a bit offensive to me.
Okay. Well, I'll agree with you there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's nice that we have our own homeland.
No, I don't think that's not my homeland. Come on. Do you see me suddenly getting on a boat and going to Israel to go live there?
Oh, you just said the United States is your homeland, and I was agreeing with you. But then you said, no, you don't have a homeland.
No, I said, no, you said Israel is your homeland. Didn't you say that to me just now? Because that's what they always try to say.
My exact words were, at least we have a homeland.
Oh, you mean this one?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant at least we have a homeland, Israel.
Oh, okay.
And I was going to start vomiting. Huh? Yes, folks, I'm anti-Semitic.
I'm anti-Israel.
You know what I hate about that is they go, if you don't like Israel, you're anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do. Israel is a political state and has to be taken on its political laurels, okay? And the fact that you don't like Israel and don't agree with their politics does not make you anti-Semitic, right?
Right.
Anti-Semitic is when you call me a Jew boy, okay? All right. Or what are some of the other terms we have? Oh, you know, one I always liked is people would actually use this term until they knew better. So I went to the store and the guy Jewed me down.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I always that one always bothered me. It always got me.
I think I've heard that. I heard that term before I even knew who Jewish people were in my part of the country.
Yeah. You're not Jewish, are you? With a name like Meyer, you could be.
No, I'm not. I am. Yeah, I'm a German come from a bunch of long line of Protestant farmers.
Because the other Meyer that calls us is a Jew.
Right.
And I honestly feel that if Adolf Hitler had met Phil, he would have stopped there and been satisfied. Anyway,
you should have taken one for the team, Phil.
Yeah, Phil.
So I think we missed Charlie's birthday last night.
We did actually, but I didn't miss on contributing to his diabetes.
I appreciate that, Alex.
Oh,
that's wonderful.
Yeah. So that was my little. But I forgot to wish him a happy birthday. So
yes.
Go shoot me,
Alex.
I have wine in here because we have no glasses.
I was gonna say, Alex, it didn't count. Now that you announced your donation, now you're all taking credit for it. Pat me on the back because look what I did.
No, I'm not. I wasn't trying to do that.
People donated.
I didn't. No, I'm just saying that I remembered it was his birthday because I gave a donation to his GoFundMe for his birthday.
I know, and as I said that
I'm not a good guy. It was only a lousy. It was only a lousy fucking $10. I mean, come on.
About anything.
I'm not giving up my position as a cheap Jew. Not at all.
Like trying to get blood out of a turnip, right?
Exactly.
And Charlie, what's your shirt tonight?
Well, it's got an error on it.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, the square root of -4 is actually 2i. It's all fun and games until somebody loses an eye.
Where do you find these things?
I get them online.
Are you so bored? Are you so bored with life? You go onto Amazon and just look for T-shirts?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have a life.
It's all fun and games until someone loses an eye. That's very good. That's very good.
One day you'll be able to wear them outside.
Yeah. I wear them when I go to the grocery store for half an hour or whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. So now that I've gone into my unpopular politics, about Israel.
So when are you going to Israel?
What? When am I going to Israel?
He never said he would.
Do you know there are a lot of places I've wanted to visit in my lifetime, and that is not one of them.
He'll go right after I go to Africa.
Exactly. Oh, but Charlie, that's your homeland.
Yeah.
Well, that's cold. That is just so cold.
I'm gonna say a word here, but my father knew a guy who worked with Louis Armstrong, and they went on a tour of the African countries. And when they first landed, Louis looked over at this guy and said, "Have you ever seen so many niggers in one place at one time?"
No,
just like this, but I mean,
Charlie, not only does Alex have trouble with math, but with English too. He said, "I'm going to say a word here, not a sentence."
Yeah.
No, I'm going to say a word here that I don't feel comfortable saying. I never felt comfortable saying that word, but it was important to the story.
Yeah.
Because really, I mean, if you're a black man in America, and you go to Africa, you really don't feel that's your home. I mean, if you move to Harlem, you do, because this is kind of the black homeland here. But Africa is so far removed from the history of the black American that going back there, sure, interesting to go back there and see things, and But
so I think Charlie ought to come up with an old man Jew joke now.
I don't know any of those.
An old man Jew joke?
Sure.
I'm an old man Jew joke in and of myself. You do not have to tell one.
So where is Robert?
I
did my homework last night and rewatched the show.
He misses one night, and you're suddenly going, "Where's Robert tonight?"
Well, because his question last night, when he said, "I have a question," and he made a comment when we were talking about guns and Democrats, and I did my homework for him, and he actually got what I said wrong.
What?
Ooh.
What did he? I can defend what he said.
Hold on just a minute.
Okay. Here's your script.
I have nothing to do. Alan, don't you have something you do during the day? Come on.
He's got. Listen, he's out.
I got it written
He's
down.
he's retired. What else is? And there's COVID on. What else has he got to do?
That's right.
Yeah.
I thought
more
it
about
was.
guns than I do. So.
I thought it was good. I know he was trying to push my button. It just didn't. Work.
What did he say exactly that pushed your button?
Well, he said. Robert says that I said that Democrats are not. They're anti-law and order, which is not what I said. And you said, Alex, why don't they use rubber bullets? And I said, sounds like a Democrat asking. And then 5 minutes later, Robert says, you said, me, that Democrats are anti-law.
Wait, we don't need the minutes from last night's show, okay?
Right. So I wanted to be prepared because he had, not only is he 70 and getting up there.
Well, I'll throw something at you. I'll throw something at you that I didn't throw at you last night, and I should have. And then, after the show, I say, I should have brought that up. When a kid, let's say you buy a kid a slingshot, and then he almost puts his eye out with it or somebody else's eye out with it. And what do you do with the slingshot?
Your mom's gonna tell you.
You take the slingshot away from him, right?
Yep.
Right. Okay. You talk about why we shouldn't put restrictions on guns. I think Americans have proven they don't know how to handle them. I mean, we have such a high death rate as a result of them, and they are used as there are more guns, I think, in America now than there are people, actually. Yes. And that is unseen anywhere else in the world, okay? And in countries that are democratic countries and freedom to do all kinds of things, even like Canada, where you're free to buy a gun in Canada, but the amount of deaths from guns are just, I think under 100 or something like that a year, right? And it's in the tens of thousands in this country. So if we are not able to use our guns, we should have them taken away from us. You've been a bad boy. You don't get to play with your gun because you don't use it responsibly.
What happens if you see in California? California is like Chicago, is like New Jersey, is like New York City.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Chicago.
It's a very what's that?
I said, be careful. I grew up in Chicago.
Well, but I'm going to talk about gun laws. Gun laws are. I know that you grew up in Chicago. So gun laws are very conservative, very strict here in California. Some of the things that the Democrats want to do nationwide, we already have in California, like 10-round magazines, like not buying ammo or guns at gun shows, like doing a background check. Mm-hmm. Part of the homework here, let's talk about New York and California.
Mm-hmm.
So New York is a blue state. So can you carry, do you need a license to carry in New York City? Yes.
In fact, you are not allowed to carry in New York City or have a gun in New York City.
Without a license.
Without a license, and I think you're not allowed to actually carry them around with you. I think there's this thing called the Sullivan Law that was done years ago.
So
and
I'm gonna give you blue state New York versus red state Texas. Same questions. So do you need a permit in the red state of Texas? Yes. How about to purchase? Do you need a permit to purchase in New York? Yes. In Texas, no. Do you need to register a firearm in New York? Yes. In Texas, no. Are you allowed to open carry a gun? Like a cowboy in New York?
No. In Texas, yeah. No. Mm-hmm.
Background checks required in New York? Yes. Texas? No.
Mm-hmm.
You can have as big a magazine as you want in Texas, but not in New York. So the blue states, California is a lot like New York.
Well, I think Vogue is a much bigger magazine than Texas Monthly.
you're not supposed to have that many magazines. So, so California is a lot like New York as far as.
Okay, so what's get to the point?
What's the point?
The point is Democrats, aka blue states, are a lot more restrictive with gun laws.
Okay, so why? Maybe then I guess maybe Democrats are smarter.
Yeah.
What do gun laws have to do with being smart?
I think the idea of even having a gun is abhorrent to me, and useless, totally useless. You know, I have never.
How did the number of people shot in Texas compare to the number of people shot in, say, Chicago or New York?
Well, so there's a lot less people. The murder rate, it depends on the city.
Per capita.
Yeah.
Per capita.
So in Chicago in 2016 and 2017, they had more murders in Chicago than in New York and Los Angeles together.
There's something else they had more than those states. Poverty.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think poverty is a big contributing factor.
I agree.
Because
I agree. Most of the gun violence in Chicago happened in South Chicago.
As a matter of fact, I think we spend too little
gangs.
We spend too little time looking at poverty when we talk about causality in this country of various things.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think it's a black-white issue. I think it's a poor versus rich disparity.
Haves versus have-nots.
Yeah, haves versus have-nots, and that a lot of the have-nots are also white. You know, and we don't pay that much attention to poor whites because as liberals, we got to do something for the poor blacks. We got to do something for anybody that's poor. You know, anybody who lives in poverty or lives in squalor, and there are a lot of whites who live in squalor and poverty as well. Go down to the South, you'll find that. You know.
Yeah.
A lot of the sharecroppers after the Civil War were white. Yeah. You know, so I mean, it's a disparity between the poor and the rich, and it's a very wide chasm. So I've made my case. Okay, good night, everybody. I've been here all week. So
okay, I'm going to give you a different spin.
Go ahead.
How about if we force people to go to college before they're allowed to get a gun?
That would be great. Right? That way they would be more educated.
How about we just don't give them a gun?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, in California, we require training. We require a background check.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Charlie. So
no, you can finish your point. I just wanted to
No. You had your hand up when I started to talk. I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
I
Charlie.
held my hand up. Well, because I thought of something.
Charlie, quickly, before you're an old man, before you forget it.
One of the things that Alan didn't point out is that there are a hell of a lot of guns in Chicago. Even though they have strict gun laws, there are a lot of guns in Chicago, and that's because 5 miles away across the border in Indiana. There are guns that you can buy guns for pennies.
That's right.
From anybody, from people on the street.
But these are not
nothing for somebody from
Indiana's Wild West, basically.
These are not law-abiding citizens, as a rule, that are buying those 5-cent guns across the border. Those are gang members in South Chicago.
If you look at the other countries like England and France and Australia and places like that where they have very strict gun laws for the whole fucking country, then you can't get a gun. So there are a lot fewer guns out there.
Yeah.
So in the case of Australia, they learned a lesson the hard way. If you go back and look at Australia, I can't speak to England because I haven't looked into it, but Australia took the guns away from everybody. Most civilians cannot own a gun, a pistol. They can own a rifle or a shotgun. And after they took the guns away, the people that had guns were the criminals and the police and the military. And the crime rate in the big cities went through the roof. And gun violence went through the roof.
When was this? I remember in 1996, there was a big massacre in Australia, and that's when they enacted a lot of those gun laws based on
There
that.
hasn't
And I
been
think
a mass shooting since.
yeah,
What massacre is that, Dan? Tell us.
it was in 1996.
1996.
I
Google
don't know the exact details. I haven't done my research, as they say. So.
Okay. So you're just talking off the top of your head. You
Well,
really don't know.
I knew it happened 1996. It was a thing, and I don't know, but I knew it was a big event. So
I'll be glad to Google it.
Well, the Australian port, it was the Port Arthur Massacre.
yeah, okay.
That's correct.
And the target was a Port Arthur historic site. It was a shooting spree, and the weapons used Colt AR-15, and I don't know what these are. There were 35 deaths, 24 injured, and it happened on April 26, 1996.
I like Jeffrey's idea, and I think that he ought to send that to Biden. And you know that you have to have some college behind you before you can get a permit or train or anything with a firearm. Let's get a smarter society.
Even just like a 2-year program.
That's fine. So no, I'm not being sarcastic or anything. I think
No, I was being realistic.
you were being serious. I'm being serious. I think that's a
I'm
good
serious.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you
Good
could never
idea.
get that. You could never pass that with all the, the gun rights, right-winger Christian wackos that feel that
Absolutely.
God
Yeah.
gave us the right to fucking own as many guns as we want without anybody telling us, how many we can own or anything.
So you're talking about the Second Amendment, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, well, no, you don't have to get rid of the Second Amendment, and the Second Amendment all it says is you can own a
Interpret
gun.
it properly.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you can own a fucking AR-55, it doesn't mean you can own,
regulated militia.
yeah, it doesn't mean you can own 2,000 fucking AR-57s or whatever the fuck they're called,
I can
mean,
tell
Paul-
you're an expert at this.
I'm not. I'm just saying, technically the Constitution, you could interpret it to mean that you can only own a musket, because that's all they had in
Yeah.
those days.
That's all they had back in that 1776.
I've never had a gun. I've never been in a situation I needed.
And I haven't either.
You live in a safe neighborhood.
Uh,
No?
I used to go up to San Francisco, right down the street from Larkin, for about 5 years, every single weekend.
Oh, well, that's a horrible
Go
neighborhood.
Tenderloin and hang out.
You're talking about me.
John Larkin lives in the Tenderloin.
John Larkin, I used to get Tenderloin all the time.
And when I live in Harlem. And when I first
I
moved,
go-
wait a
I go
minute,
to San
hold on a
Francisco.
second. I live in Harlem, and when I first moved into Harlem, this was still a dangerous neighborhood. As a matter of fact, on New Year's Day of the first year we lived here, a guy was shot to death at our front gate.
Wow.
Who lived here?
He was
Shot in
trying
the
to
head.
get to you?
No, shot in the head.
Oh.
And then 2 days later, across the street, somebody was shot to death. So, and at no point did I say, Marjorie, we better go out and buy a gun.
Or we better move into a nicer neighborhood. You didn't say
No. I said, we're going to live in this neighborhood. These things happen in this neighborhood. They don't
that.
happen
They
now.
happen in good neighborhoods too.
They don't happen now. But there was a lot of crime in this. I mean, did you ever see the movie New Jack City?
Yeah, like in New Jack City, there's a lot of crime
Okay.
at that apartment.
A lot of crime at our apartment house in New Jack City because that's
Right.
our apartment house in New Jack City, and they
Alex
didn't.
had the meth house.
And they didn't portray it as a crack house because it wasn't. In fact, in the picture, Wesley Snipes points at a window and says, "This is where we're going to build our crack lab, and it's our kitchen." So, I mean, it was known.
And
for
how
that.
did he must have known that there was going to be Uranus in that kitchen.
Yeah, Uranus, not Uranius. What is that? A combination of Uranus and
Uranus.
uranium? I don't know.
It's my California accent.
Charlie.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was born on the south side of Chicago. I grew up there. When I was a teenager in high school, I was chased down the street by street gangs and shot at. And it never occurred to me once in my life that I need to go out and get a gun.
Okay.
Right.
My mother also, she's a little older than you, was born and raised in South Chicago. So she had never had that experience. But obviously you have different experiences. You're 15 years apart from each other in age. Can't think of the high school that she went to. It was just in conversation. Might have even been the same high school you went to. I don't know.
Well, I went to Holy Name Cathedral.
No.
That was
no.
in downtown Chicago.
You went to public school. But I like Jeffrey's idea. I think that's a great idea. That everybody gets a little bit of smarts from college. You learn how to use your head a little bit, maybe a lot, depending on what courses you take. You might even learn math, Alex.
That's one. Yeah, 1 plus 1.
Right.
That would count out most of the redneck gun loving idiots around here who never went to college.
Here too.
Yeah, but
yeah.
But if it was a requirement, then they would
go to college.
But to college.
Alan, besides being a police officer, is there any situation that you needed a gun?
Yeah, it's a hobby. I shoot at paper targets.
But I know. But I'm asking you: is there a situation that you needed a gun?
No.
Okay. Yes. So
I'm trying to figure out what your point is, though. If somebody broke into your house, let's just give a scenario that you could easily give to me. Somebody broke into your house, and in the middle of the night, you woke up, you walk downstairs, or I don't know if you have an upstairs, downstairs house. You confront this guy, and the guy's high on drugs, and you don't know what his intentions are.
Oh, wait, hold on a second. We have 8 people here. How many people have had anybody break into their home in the middle of the night?
I think once when I was a little kid.
I never even heard of anybody break in the middle of the night of my friends or anything.
Okay, now how many? Anybody know somebody here who had somebody have their house broken into in the middle of the night? Jeffrey?
Nope, not when we weren't there.
When you weren't there. Well, now there's one of the points I was going to bring up. That most of the time when people are going to rob you, it's because you aren't there.
Yep.
Well, technically, robbery is person to person. Burglary is what you meant to say. I know.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I am not steeped in the English language.
So if somebody comes in your house and you have no idea what they're doing there, and they broke in, you have kids and everything that I don't have. Brian?
Alan, I don't have the time to go to the gun range to go and make sure I'm able to use that gun in the proper way when somebody breaks in the middle of the night trying to get my kids.
But if you did, would you own a gun?
If I knew how to if I knew how to shoot the gun and handle the gun?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't see a situation that I've ever been in that I would need it.
We've just made it clear that most people are never going to have anybody break into their home while they're there.
So you don't. Well, it's called. I mean, there's a crime. It's called home invasion. And
I know there's a crime called home invasion, but we're saying it's rare, and that the amount of people who own guns in comparison to the rarity is completely out of kilter.
And statistically, it's more likely for your gun that you have in your house to shoot somebody in your house than it is to shoot somebody that invades your
accidental shooting.
Yeah, and that's what I'd be more afraid of.
Jeff?
Yeah, I want to say something. And the other day when we were talking about this, Pam was here, and she was listening. And now she's in another room, and I think she's fallen asleep. But
most people do with this show.
It's a very personal issue that I want to talk to you about. Her grandfather used to take the dog to walk around, and he got concerned that somebody might see him outside walking with the dog, and they might ask him for money or something like that. So he, as an older guy, like your age,
Well, thank you.
yeah, he bought a gun. Okay? And he never shot anybody. I don't know if he ever used it, like to even practice or anything. So, next thing happens, he dies as an older guy. And his Pam's dad got the gun as a guy who had already retired. He took the gun, and he didn't like when he lost his job, when he retired. He was an unhappy guy. So he took the gun and killed himself. That's what happens to guns.
Okay, so there's a use for a gun. You know, all
Yeah,
yeah,
or a solution not to have them.
yeah.
That's right. Had he not had the gun, Jeffrey, he probably wouldn't have killed himself that way.
That's
Not
right.
at all.
Well,
Maybe not at all.
Statistically, probably not at all.
a convenient ability to do it. Okay,
Yeah.
that's another point here. You know,
Yep.
It's not particularly convenient because there isn't a gun available. Maybe he might stick his head in an oven, or maybe he might try and do it with the hanging himself. But the gun has less time to think about it. You know, to have a second thought about it.
Yep.
And so, therefore, I mean, let me give you an example. When people commit suicide, and this is a known fact, that psychologically, the way in which they decide to die is the way in which they want to get even with the people who find them. Okay? It's a I'll show them kind of thing. So if you blow your brains out and then somebody happens upon your body, they're going to be scarred with that image for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Now, the best way to kill yourself if you're going to commit suicide, oddly enough, is to go up into the mountains where it's freezing, underdressed, and let yourself freeze to death. It's supposedly a very nice way to die, and it's a very decent way to die because people are not necessarily going to come upon a corpse that's riddled with a bullet blowing the brain out, or a neck that's broken from hanging, or whatever. So the choice of a gun many times is used because people just want to get even with the people around them. Because somebody's going to have to find that horrible, I mean, I've never seen a head that's been blown off. I'm sure maybe our friend Alan has, but it isn't a pleasant sight, I would imagine.
No.
You know.
No.
So, I mean, but there are just too many guns in this country. There are too many people owning guns.
I'll buy that
You know?
with you. That there's too many guns in the country, and there's too many guns in this country in gang and drug infested neighborhoods.
Too many illegal guns.
But that's right. There you go. Illegal.
And too many guns in hands of people who are not mentally equipped to use them properly.
Well, in California, one of the things they ask you is, do you use marijuana? And they do and stuff before you can buy a gun, even if it's medical marijuana, which I happen to be for. But if you're a regular marijuana user, you cannot buy a gun in California.
That's silly.
Or they just say that they don't use marijuana.
But it's okay if you drink alcohol, right?
That's silly.
It's okay if you drink alcohol.
Silly.
Everybody I know that uses pot are the calmest person. They never get angry.
But Charlie,
gun.
the trouble is that mentality goes back to the 40s. Okay, you know. It's the reefer madness mentality, you know. But I just I'll tell you why. I mean, I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again as long as we're talking about guns. The reason why guns scare the shit out of me. I can't even hold one. You put one in my hand, I can't hold it.
Somebody had a gun to your head once, right?
Somebody had a gun to my face. For about an hour, cocked.
Jesus.
Okay, it was a friend of mine. He
can't
was a
even
kid, and he was kind of a JD, juvenile delinquent, and he was drunk. Okay, that made it even worse. If he were sober, I wouldn't have worried as much about him handling that gun as drunk. And
Yeah,
he
'cause
just
you can't
pointed it at me for an hour. And finally, at one point, I finally said, "Look, if you're going to shoot me, shoot me. I'm going." And I got up and left. And as I walked, I was waiting to feel a bullet in the back of my head, you know. But after you've gone through an incident like that, you have a slightly different attitude about guns. Okay.
Did you get in the military after that?
Yes,
Were there
I
guns
did.
in the military?
Yes, I did, and we
You
had to
refused
shoot
to carry those
rifles.
guns?
We had to shoot rifles,
Okay.
and I, oddly enough, they said I was a marksman, that I was very good at it. I was terrific at it. And I'll tell you right now, I play video games where I shoot people all the time.
Well, there you go.
You
I
know,
don't.
but
I don't like those video games.
I love them.
think
I love them because I'm shooting. I'm not killing people. I'm killing pixels.
you understand that, but to an 8 or 9-year-old,
I don't buy that.
No, maybe.
I don't buy that. I
8
think
or 9-year-old doesn't
think
understand the difference. and
those
goes out and
kids-
They
gets
may or may
guns.
not, but it's not a certainty either way.
It's kind of like
We
somebody that's
played
high on
cowboys and Indians all the time when I was 8 years old. We never shot anybody in real life.
But they
I'm not
qualified
saying
they qualified
everybody
me as a marksman in the you know, after just a short thing at the shooting range, saying you're very good, and I just went, I don't know, I guess I just have a natural aptitude for it, but I never picked up another gun again.
Okay, good for
You know, and I never felt they afforded me any kind of protection. I practiced. I don't know if you have practiced martial arts, but I practiced a martial art which I've found has been very helpful in a lot of situations. It's called Run Fu.
Yeah. Yeah.
Feet don't fail me now. I'm just
That's
gone like a flash. You know. I mean, I just don't understand the whole idea with guns. Oh well, I'm using it to protect my family. Listen, that gun may actually kill your family. You know.
Good.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you agree many times with me on this, Alan, because you're
likely to
saying
kill your
that we
family.
have a lot of people who do not know how to use those guns and to take care of them correctly and to make sure that they're put away, you know, and that there's where kids can't get to them. You know.
Well,
I think you
in
should have-
California, we talked about this last night, but in California, they require you to give the model serial number of your California approved gun safe or one of these biometric things that's got to be also California approved so a kid can't get access to it.
Right.
Now, there are a lot of stupid people in this world. I mean, you know, look at how many people voted for Trump. And a lot of those people would leave a gun just laying around loaded. So
Okay, but who are you more worried about? Are you more worried about that mythical robber that's going to come in the middle of the night and rob you? Or are you more worried about a lot of these militias, these people that go crazy and go shooting up areas and so on because they go crazy? Are you more? I'm more worried about them and about their ability to get guns. I mean, I think when we talk about the danger to the public,
you don't want a gun to defend yourself, Alex? If the militia.
I don't think that a gun would defend me against a guy up in the Mirage Hotel from a high window with a sniper's rifle. Okay?
Yeah.
Well, a gun several
wouldn't
guns actually stop the guy from shooting.
No, maybe if somebody got
After
up
he
there
killed
eventually, but
58
I'm saying if I was down there being shot
get
at,
that,
that gun
Charlie.
wouldn't do me bupkis.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, Dan.
Yeah, well, another part of the scenario is that, for example, like around here, there's talk of like arming teachers and arming school employees, and I think people have this mentality like, if I have a gun, you're automatically like Bruce Willis and totally confident with it and everything. I don't totally mind people having guns, but just have a good amount of training if you're ever gonna own a gun.
Well, you know what I think we should be reminded of is Parkland School down in Florida, where they actually had a guard there with a gun.
Right.
Who ran away?
Who ran away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, arming
That gun
teachers
didn't do any good running away.
Yeah, but arming teachers are you know. Then you get, you know what you're then? Now you've got an armed teacher who's crazy, who then shoots up his class. You know, it's not too soon before that eventuality happens.
Trust me. I'm a substitute teacher.
You want to kill those kids every day you're teaching them.
If I had access to a gun,
yeah,
I'd think about it. You know,
I remember some of my teachers.
I can get these kids to shut up right now.
I had some old teachers back then, and I wouldn't want any of them to have a gun.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that I know or I've come across that I wouldn't want to have a gun either. But there's a lot of good people in this country that I don't have a problem with them having a gun. I think proper training is important. I think a background check is important.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of states like Texas, for instance, where you walk into a store, plunk down $1,000, you buy a semi-automatic M16 type assault weapon, whatever you want to call it, and you walk out of the store with a box of ammo, and you're on your way to hunt, shoot paper targets, or kill your family, whatever. And that's unfortunate. And I think the laws ought to be like California, like Chicago, like New York, where you have to go through a background. I even like Jeffrey's idea of thinking outside the closet. And I think they're outside of the, whatever it's called.
Box.
Outside the box. I think closet, box.
You don't think outside the closet. The closet is where you go when you're homosexual and want to hide it.
I think having a license, like driving a car, like having trained and being a licensed owner.
Yeah. Listen, I want to bring up something here. It's kind of interesting. Our former president, what was his name? I forget now.
Richard Nixon.
The name that shall not be mentioned.
Yeah, well, Drumpf, President Drumpf. My union, SAG-AFTRA, has said that they sent him a letter saying we are letting you go from our membership of our union. Because we don't like the things that you've been doing recently and so on. I don't know what the verbiage was there. Anyway, they kick him out of the union. Part of the reason they said in the aftermath of them getting rid of him was because they put that members of SAG-AFTRA are also journalists, and they put journalists in really the line of fire. They made their lives much more dangerous. They've had their lives threatened.
Absolutely.
You know, they've been pointed out at rallies and so on, and they just said the way the membership has been treated under this president and the danger they've been put in is reason for us to get rid of him from the union. Well, he wrote them a letter back.
Yeah.
And I want to read you this letter because it's so egotistical. God. It says, I write you today regarding the so-called disciplinary committee hearings aimed at revoking my union membership. Who cares? While I'm not familiar with your work, I'm proud of my work on movies such as Home Alone 2, Zoolander, and Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps, and television shows including The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Saturday Night Live, and of course, one of the most successful shows in television history, The Apprentice, just to name a few. I have also greatly helped the cable news television business, said to be a dying platform without much time left until I got involved in politics, and created thousands of jobs at networks such as MSDNC, Fake News CNN, among many others. Which brings me to your blatant attempt at free media attention to distract from your dismal record as a union. Your organization has done little for its members and nothing for me, besides collecting dues and promoting dangerous, un-American policies and ideas, as evident by your massive unemployment rates and lawsuits from celebrated actors, who even recorded a video asking, why isn't the union fighting for me? By the way, that has to do with our SAG-AFTRA health plan. Okay.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. These, however, are policy failures. Your disciplinary failures are even more egregious. I'm glad he had a new big word that big.
Oh,
Yeah.
I no longer wish to be associated with your union. As such, this letter is to inform you of my immediate resignation from SAG-AFTRA. You have done nothing for me. Signed, Donald.
Well, so I think what you've proven is you do have a grip on the English language, and you are trainable on mathematics.
Yeah. Now let me tell you. They then wrote him back, and you know what their letter read? Thank you.
That's right.
That's all.
That's all.
That was it.
Thank you.
I mean, of course, nothing surprises you with Trump, but it's like,
Who?
no, it's like you think that, you think that maybe he's gonna rise above something like that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he never does.
No, he also had to give a list of his credits. You know. Yeah,
Right.
And I'm sorry if I'm giving a list of my credits on a serious issue like this. I don't think Home Alone 2,
Yeah.
Lost in New York, is a major credit.
Especially all he was an extra.
Yeah, he wasn't an extra. He had one scene. You know.
I know, but
Yeah.
but
He was a
just
cameo. He was a cameo. It was a
Like we had
joke.
5
Oh, look,
words,
it's
that
done.
was it.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder who wrote it for him.
And the most one of the biggest shows in the history of American television. That's gonna be a big blow to Roots. You know, it's gonna be a big blow to American Idol, which was a much bigger show than that. And his show, in fact, was only a big show for I think one season, and then it started going downhill from there. You know. I mean, the letter is so egotistical, you know. I mean, make a case for yourself. Say, hey, I'm a member of this union. I've been a good member in good standing. And because you don't agree with my politics, there's no reason for you to, blah, 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 blah. But no, he never can make a rational argument about anything. It's all personal.
Right.
And so I'm proud of my union for doing what they did. On the other hand, he is right about the union being sued. So,
I thought maybe you wrote it for him.
Today, Trump is now talking about moving to Austin, Texas.
Oh, don't say that. Jeez.
Austin, Texas.
Why would he move
Come
there?
on, you just said that to get Charlie in an uproar.
Yeah.
It's true. I'm just joking.
Yeah.
Oh, you should have seen the look on Charlie's face.
Yes, Dan Meyer has a pithy comment. Yes, Dan.
One thing I was going to bring up, they were talking about if he was going to come and testify at the impeachment trial, whether he would or wouldn't. And I think the House managers wanted him to, and then he declined.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, why would you want that fucking circus that he'd fucking bring with him? Why would anybody want that?
Well, I mean,
under oath. He can't
He
lie.
would be under oath, and he can't help himself.
I think,
I
to be
know,
honest
but
with
who's he
you,
bringing with him? He's going to bring more insurrectionists, big mobs from everywhere.
But Dan,
he'll
we
bring.
talked about that last night.
No, worse than insurrectionists, he might bring Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that's another story today. Is Rudy Giuliani? There's a radio
My
station.
Pillow
The no, that isn't the My Pillow guy.
He's a lawyer.
Yeah, I know. I was just saying.
Well, he is a lawyer,
My
but
Pillow
not
guy
very
for-
long.
Yeah.
You hear about
Anyway,
jobs.
anyway, wait a minute. Let's take it one at a time here.
Okay.
He does a show every day here in New York, 5 days a week on WABC, a once great radio station that now wallows in obscurity. And he has a show, an hour show on every day. I've never listened to it. When I looked at the station's lineup, I was appalled to see that he even had a show, And what WABC decided to do was, because of the current suits that are out against Giuliani on two fronts, one from Dominion for $1.5 billion, and the other against he and Fox and Friends and all of that for $2.5 billion from Smartmatic voting machines. Who came up with that name, Smartmatic? Jeez Almighty! I mean, I would laugh if I had to read that.
A genius.
Yeah, a genius.
I
have an idea.
Smartmatic.
We'll call it
Rongo.
Smartmatic. It came from here. Yeah.
You keep talking about it, and they're getting more publicity every time.
Yeah, but anyway, look, are they going to sue me for saying it's a stupid name for the company? I could have come up.
No, they want more publicity.
No, that's true. They don't care
Right,
about anything.
say it every day.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, they started every day running a 90-second disclaimer at the beginning of his show, saying nothing on the show should be taken as truth. It is only the opinion of Rudy Giuliani, and a lot of his whatever has been disputed. I don't have the actual script here. I wish I had a recording of it.
Yeah.
Giuliani goes ballistic. How dare they do this to me? Well, these guys just don't want to get sued. Right? They just got their little. The guy who owns the radio station, owns a bunch of supermarkets. He's the only independent radio owner in New York City, and I don't think he wants to get sued for $1.2 billion, right? So he does the disclaimer. Although I have news for him, I don't know if he's talked to his lawyers, that disclaimer might not
Be enough.
Yeah, cut the water. What's the word I'm looking for here? Anyway, and then we've got over at CNN. You can all be happy for this. Conspiracy believer and ardent supporter of Donald Trump, Lou Dobbs, who once used to have a great reputation. He used to be over at CNN and so on. Has been fired by Fox. They've canceled his show.
He got fired.
Gone?
So you know what happens to all these outfits that suddenly go, well, we're going to make money off of this. Okay. I'm sorry. They're all running for the hills. Yeah. We've got to do a disclaimer in front of your show. We got to get rid of Lou Dobbs. And I'll bet you Hannity and I'll bet you Tucker Carlson or two of the other people are getting sued will probably get fired. So, So,
I'd love to see Hannity get taken down.
But I really hope they nail Fox, because Fox has made a fortune off of this kind of diatribe over the years. And what I think is kind of disgusting is they won't stand by a Lou Dobbs at this point. They just want to save their own ass.
They're already getting sued because of him, so they had to.
And then over at OAN tonight, they are running a documentary. Produced a 3-hour documentary produced by the My Pillow guy.
Absolute
about the conspiracy. About the conspiracy.
He paid them to get that on there, so technically it's an infomercial.
Well, technically it's an infomercial, but you know something? You can't use that as an excuse. Maybe you can give it as a little bit of an excuse. But you've got a station there. You're responsible for what information goes out over that station. And if I run an infomercial for some kind of thing, and then it turns out to poison people and kill them, I'm still responsible because I ran it. Even if I said on the disclaimer, we do not verify the accuracy of this product or whatever. Steve, you've been quiet. You've been quiet all night. You're there. You're at a truck stop.
I wanted to ask something. You guys hear this 95-year-old woman in Germany who is going to be on trial she was a secretary during one of the camps
in
during the war?
Yeah, I read that. Yeah.
I wanted to ask Alex and Alan, what's your opinion on that?
Well, I'm not familiar with the situation, and I'm surprised that after this long
She was
time.
a secretary for a commander at one of the prison camps.
Yeah, but she was a teenager, so she's being tried in juvenile court too.
Is she really?
Yeah.
No.
95 years old now.
Oh my
and they're going to try her for 10,000 murders?
Something like that.
Well,
some fucking insane number.
If somebody was in the guns, they could just shoot her and forget the trial.
I just got through watching.
I actually don't know anything about it.
I just got through watching a documentary about Adolf Eichmann, And Eichmann used the defense that he was only following orders, that,
Yeah.
you know, he did what he was told to do. And his only job, he didn't go and, you know, pump the gas into stuff, but he ordered it. You know, he ordered
he was like the accountant.
He was the accountant, basically an accountant who got to be a very fancy accountant and came up with a scheme to kill Jews in a mass number. Here's what happened. The Germans marched into Poland. They took over Poland. Well, where before they were just trying to get rid of the Jews, get them to leave the country, okay, and they give them to any country that would take them. At this point, they were getting too many Jews than they knew what to do with, so they had to come up with what they called the ultimate solution to the Jewish problem, and that was, how do we mechanize the killing of these people and you know, do it like an assembly line? And that's what he came up with. Okay, so now he used the argument, well, I was only following orders. Well, the question would be, in the case of this woman, I mean, if she was only a secretary, and she was how old at the time? A teenager?
Teenager.
And she's now 95? Yeah. You know, by the time you find her guilty, she's probably going to die.
Yeah.
You know? What do you think,
I have a
Alan?
question.
What do you think, Alan?
No, I don't know much about that. About that personally, I like what you had to say, Alex, about that.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many people here have children other than Jeffrey and Brian, and I haven't heard of other people here. Would you want your children taught by somebody that drinks a lot, maybe is an alcoholic, I don't know, smokes marijuana a lot, and is willing to kill his kids in class if he had a gun? Would you want that person as a teacher?
No, probably not.
How sexy is she?
Okay, there you go.
Now I'm asking the important question here. Yeah. Now, why do you ask that question? It's a very odd question.
Yeah.
Well, because, and I'm not looking to pick on or anything, but you said the other night, when it's on the internet, it's on the internet forever. Whatever we say, anybody can see, and I agree.
Yeah.
But we have somebody here sitting here in the group that's smoking marijuana, drinking beer, and talking about that if he had a gun, I knew it was hypothetical. If he had a gun, he might kill all the kids in his class because they're little brats.
Well, he didn't say all the kids.
What?
Yeah, what?
Well, what are you going to ask? What would my responsibility be?
He's talking about me, but I don't know what you're even.
Well, I'm
just, you know, I mean, you're trying to make some point that I'm going to shoot kids in my class or something, or what?
Well, you said that.
No, he didn't say
So,
that.
am I serious?
I understand that.
He was saying that
part.
as a joke.
I mean, I would rather not have a gun in the room, so there's absolutely no chance of that happening. But yeah,
I just wanted to get your.
But just quickly, because we're running out of time here. Alan, do you feel the teacher should carry arms in class?
No.
Okay, good. I didn't. The thing I like about you is you're reasonable. You know, it was the thing I like about Patrick, who doesn't call very much lately because he's afraid, I think, that we're going to get on his case or something.
No.
But I always liked him because he was very reasonable. You know, I didn't agree with him, but he was reasonable. Yeah. And that's good. Wait a minute, were you getting snacks? We're almost over here. You don't need snacks.
These are like heroin. Peanut butter pretzels.
Oh, jeez.
Like heroin.
Oh, no.
And if you drink them with beer, it's like crack.
I wouldn't know. I've never done heroin.
Did you hear?
And this stuff is 100%.
What did you say, Brian?
David Hogg. He wants to.
He
wants to do a pillow company to put the My Pillow guy out of business.
Yeah, he's the guy from the high school.
Shooting, from the shooting,
from
got
Parkland High
harassed by
School.
Marjorie.
And he says he is starting a pillow company to go
He
into
said it was a
competition.
joke at first, and then people started talking to him,
giving him
and now
money.
he's taking it seriously. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll buy one.
Yeah, who told me that they had a My Pillow and it's a piece of crap?
I'm sure they are.
I don't know, but that's what I've heard too.
Somebody was on the show.
I said last night that I have My Pillow, and they're the best pillows I've ever slept on.
Oh, that's what you said? Okay.
Yeah, that's what he said. But
Yeah.
somebody.
But then you
other
said
people told me
that was before this guy became an idiot, and I said, yeah.
Yeah.
I
I'm
wouldn't
sure
buy
he
it.
was an idiot at the time he made your pillow.
Well, you
too.
wouldn't buy him because you don't want to make him rich at this time. Yeah. He could put out the best pillow in the world and you wouldn't buy it after all he's said, you know.
No, that's correct.
Yeah, that's
correct.
and that's a logical place to, position.
So Dan,
yourself.
I have a question.
Okay.
You said that your marijuana is legal. I'm assuming in your state it's legal. So you can smoke it on school grounds?
No, I'm not gonna smoke anything on school grounds.
I don't think the use of alcohol is permitted on school grounds.
Right.
No,
But on the show, it's
And
okay.
this is at Delta 8, like I meant.
Well, has he been smoking pot on this show? I didn't know that.
Yeah, a few minutes ago, he lifted the pipe after he finished his can of Coors.
Oh, look
beer.
at his face,
It
Alex.
wasn't Coors. It was.
What do you mean? Look at his face, Steve.
He's clearly stoned.
Yes, thank you.
How dare you?
I have no problem with medical marijuana, Dan. I mean, actually, a lot of cops don't have a problem with it,
Right.
providing you don't get stupid.
Well,
on it.
You're
not getting stupid.
I
on
don't
it.
like medical marijuana. I don't
Well,
like
that's- well,
medical
that's,
marijuana because I want to use the real stuff. I don't want to have to be dying of cancer before I can use my drug of preference. Okay.
Like you
Your
just
marijuana stuff with pussy hairs, don't you?
like Alan just said, the like I'm not getting stupid on it. I'm this is that.
Well, don't go that far, Dan.
Well, as I'm as stupid as I always am.
Yes, right. Okay. I'll buy
but
that.
What I'm saying is, it's that Delta 8 that I was talking about, and it comes from hemp. It's a whole big, there's so many compounds in marijuana. You could have a chemistry degree and not figure it all out. But
Yeah.
this Delta 8 THC, it is more of a relaxing high than a head high. It's not, you're not all,
You aren't?
I still got pretty much most of my wits about me.
Yeah, you do actually.
huh?
Yeah.
You do. Yeah.
But I feel really relaxed in my
Yeah.
chair.
Well, I won't even smoke pot before I do a show.
Well, thank God for that.
Well,
We'd be taking temperatures all night long.
oh, shut the fuck up, will you? Jeez Almighty.
Yeah, if I was on regular marijuana, I'd be dope.
Remember the Jews here, the
Yeah.
flag. I better get it off there, otherwise I might get blocked or something.
Hey, listen, there's our theme song, and it's been a kind of interesting night. God damn it, we didn't talk about COVID, and we didn't talk really about Trump except for that letter, which I thought was important for you to hear.
Hey, yeah, that little kid didn't call in.
Yeah, no Ryan.
And no Ryan and no
in a row.
Robert, but the rest of you just fine. Jeffrey, good talking to you.
I think the kid was pissed that Brian was using his.
Have a nice weekend.
Yeah, you too. Same to you, Charlie. Have a nice weekend and happy birthday once again. How old are you now?
71.
71. Phil Meyer. Phil Meyer.
Hi, Phil.
Dan Meyer, thank you so much for being with us. And of course, Trucker Steve and his dog, Rocky. Where is Rocky? That dog, what do you
He's
do?
high off marijuana.
I'm saying,
passed out.
like, dog's high on marijuana. There he is. He's asleep. And hey, Brian, thank you so much. Alan, always fun. And of course, John Larkin, you're terrific too. Everybody, give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye back at you. Oh, what's that? Oh, what, is that the team that's playing this weekend? Was that the Buccaneers? What is that? The Roosters? I don't know. What is that team? Anyway, we'll see you, and everybody, if you're going to have yourself a one of those Super Bowl parties, don't have one. have it virtually, okay? Anyway, that's it for tonight with our citizen panel. Next is Jack Bishop. He's going to be here with his thing called The Intersection. I'll be here again on Tuesday night. And we'll be back here Monday, actually, at 4 o'clock with the Monday pop-up. Then we'll be here Tuesday at 10:30. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. And by the way, wear a mask and be safe out there. Bye-bye, everybody.